The chosen movie for our film study is The Greatest Showman. This project is done by Marina Laycraft, Nella Stanek, Sarah Campa, and Taylor Zimmer.
The film The Greatest Showman came out in the year 2017 after being inspired by the story of P.T. Barnum's creation of Barnum's American Museum and the lives of its star attractions. The movie was written by Jenny Bix and Bill Condon. It was directed by Michael Gracie and was produced by Peter Chernin, Jono Topping, and Lawrence Mark. It is an American musical biographical drama film that had a budget of $84 million and had earned $435 million when it had been displayed in box office.
Summary of the film. An orphan with no money but a huge imagination can come a long way. This is P.T. Barnum. Everything he is dreaming of becomes his biggest struggle in life. Finding ways to build a successful life for his wife and kids, he becomes intrigued in the showcase business where he searches for those with spectacular traits such as being extremely tall, flexible, or even being a woman that grows facial hair. Barnum sees the potential of all these individuals and puts these acts together to be known as a freak circus, even though it is highly criticized by many. Eventually, all goes well until he gambles his future with opera singer Jenny Lind and has to make the decision of whether or not he will leave his circus just to be accepted. Is fame and fortune worth the price of losing your friends and family? Now we are going to look at the timeline of The Greatest Showman. The first scene of the movie is at the circus with P.T. Barnum singing The Greatest Showman and then goes into a flashback of him as a little kid. P.T. Barnum had a tough life growing up as a kid, along with his dad. They were very poor. He met Charity at a young age and kept in touch with her throughout their teenage years. P.T. came back for Charity and they started their life together. When they decided to get married, Charity told P.T. that she doesn't mind not having money and all that she wants is happiness. P.T. Barnum and Charity Barnum had two girls and lived in a small apartment building. P.T. worked at a trading company. He then decided he wanted to start a museum in order to make more money. Realizing that there were no customers, he thought back to the individual that gave him an apple during the earlier scenes and decided he should create a circus with freaks. After some shows and having the freaks live in the circus, Barnum became rich very quickly and he decided to buy the mansion that Charity and him would always run through as children. He also enrolls one of his daughters in a ballet class. Barnum realizes he is still not gaining the respect of others, so he goes to Philip Carlyle to ask to legitimize his business. Carlyle took Barnum and everyone in the circus to meet Queen Victoria. At the same time, they run into a famous singer known as Jenny Lind and convince her to come and perform in New York in order to class up Barnum's entertainment. Jenny Lind performs her first show, and during the performance, Philip went to hold Anne's hand in public but immediately resisted when seeing his parents and knowing that they would not approve. After Jenny's performance, Barnum makes a toast to her in a room full of high-class individuals, and then hears everyone from the circus trying to get in, and Barnum denies them entry and shuts the door in their faces. The freaks were heartbroken and roared in the fancy dance hall, proving themselves as worthy. Barnum decides to go on tour with Jenny and leaves Philip in charge of the freaks. Jenny wishes for something intimate to happen with Barnum, and Barnum says no, so Jenny decided to quit the tour. The circus had burnt down, and while it was in flames, Philip ran inside to save Anne because she was nowhere to be seen. After getting no response from Philip, Barnum had to run in to find him and came out holding Philip burnt and incoherent. A newspaper is spread around town with a photo of Barnum and Jenny kissing. Charity got a hold of it and immediately left back to her parents' house with the kids. Barnum runs back to Charity to make up. Then the freaks find him sitting in a bar, not wishing for anything anymore, and the freaks tell him to not give up, help him come to a conclusion of using Philip's money to purchase a tent, and they continue to put on a circus for everyone near the docks. Everyone ended up happy and as a circus family once again.
Now we are going to analyze P.T. Barnum and Philip Carlyle's leadership styles and qualities. P.T. Barnum exhibits emotional intelligence and is able to recruit his freaks by using inspirational leadership to make them feel like they belong in a community that also doubles as a career. He acknowledges each person's strengths and individuality and is aware of his own. For example, Barnum inspires Charles Stratton, a character with dwarfism, to join his team by ensuring that crowds will cheer for him and salute him. Barnum shows situational leadership with his selling style. He sells his ideas to his followers by explaining directions in a persuasive manner. His followers, or quote, circus freaks, are willing to accomplish a task, but they need guidance from Barnum. He also shows supportive behavior as he provides psychological support for his team to make them feel more confident and enhance their performance. Barnum manages his team with a desire to lead, optimism, and passion. He is charismatic, which makes his team respect him and strive to do their best job at the circus. When analyzing PT's team building development, he exhibits that his team is at the performing stage because cooperation and consensus is well established. There is a stable structure present at the end of the film, and all members are shown to be committed to the team's mission. For example, when the circus burnt down, the team dealt with it constructively as they are focused on problem solving and meeting their goals. In regards to his conflict style, at the beginning of the film, Barnum has a competing conflict style, whereas he sees his own needs are advocated over the needs of others. Some of his relationships were negatively affected during this phase, such as when he hears the circus people trying to get into the room of high class individuals and denies them entry and shuts the door in their faces, leaving the freaks feeling heartbroken. Towards the end of the film, Barnum exhibits a collaborating conflict style. For example, after the circus burnt down, Barnum agrees with Philip to be partners and have a 50-50 partnership for the future of the business. Carlyle shows that he is driven, has a desire to excel, and is passionate about what he does when he realizes that the circus is what makes him truly happy and that his old way of life of producing plays for high-class individuals and parties doesn't enrich his life. Just like Barnum, Philip is charismatic and also is able to have the circus members respect him and follow his lead. In terms of intelligence and ability, Philip exhibits judgment and decisiveness, such as when he realizes that Barnum is not properly handling the financial side of the circus in terms of Barnum's spending habits and tries to intervene for the well-being of the business. Carlyle possesses the great man theory of leadership. This theory explains areas of expertise is what makes great leaders. He is an example of having a leading personality with his historical background as a change agent. Because Philip Carlyle previously had expertise in producing plays, his background proves that he can lead a team to become successful. His personality has the aptitude and style to control and command a majority of people, and this is what the great man theory pertains. In terms of power, Carlyle mostly relates to informational power. He has held the information and knowledge that Barnum may not have when it comes to leading a team, and also is capable of making Barnum's circus become more well known to society. Barnum's initial decision to have Carlyle join his team saw Carlyle's informational power because of how Carlyle uses his information to persuade by the numbers and manipulate opinions of others. This power can be used to measure and improve tasks, processes, and strategies.
P.T. Barnum, the main leader of the film, had begun as an effective leader by wanting to be a change catalyst to society and show off talents that have not been seen before. In the midst of caring for the freaks and the circus while touring with Jenny Lind, Barnum started to believe fame and fortune is the answer to everything, and as a result, he had blocked out his circus family. This is exactly when Philip Carlyle took over and made sure that the show would still go on. Not long had passed until Barnum had seen what a mistake he made from leaving his family just to gain fame and money. He immediately went back to the circus and partnered with Carlyle to ensure that the leadership was effective and fair by adding in another opinion, that the freaks would feel like a family again, and to get the message across to society that the greatest show must go on. In the film, all the freaks are facing the challenge of being accepted by society, and P.T. Barnum wants to show all of their potentials that they carry within and demonstrate diversity amongst one another and how complementary they are with one another. He wants to show that it is okay to be different, and in fact, it is even better than just being part of mainstream society. Barnum and Carlyle created and sustained a culture within their team by constantly working together, having open communication, and most importantly, by having P.T. Barnum remain optimistic of the individuals and their traits, even when they would constantly be protesters outside of their circus that would constantly yell at them, saying they should not be accepted into society. Even though Barnum tried his best to remain optimistic during tough times, he had a fallout with his circus family when he went on tour with Jenny Lind and had shut them out. But although he shut them out for a period of time, it made them stronger than ever nearing the end, because he saw fame and fortune was not worth risking the family he had created. They also sustained the culture by having one of the freaks, Ann Wheeler, advocate that you should always be proud of who you are and who you're surrounded by, and this made people feel like more of a family from the acceptance of one another. The leaders have encouraged change within the society by demonstrating the worth that individuals may have no matter what their appearance is. And although it took a long time to persuade society that they are not just freaks, the message did come across that they had the potential and the talent to make a positive impact on those surrounding them. The first lesson for business that was given throughout the film was to build strong connections and relationships. In the film, P.T. Barnum expanded his business when he decided to pair up with Philip Carlyle or Jenny Lind in order to become more well-known to society. In the real world, building connections can be very beneficial to your business because you will have support from others and it will give your organization the ability to retain more customers and grow as a whole. Without connections, your business isn't nearly as well known as others that do have connections. This type of lesson would tie into a situational theory because the leader is proposed to choose the most beneficial option for the organization. And to further narrow it down, it would be more of a telling leadership because leaders need to be searching for ways to improve the organization, and in difficult times, their subordinates may not get a say. Leaders could also participate in the selling leadership model, where they do understand what they need to do, but now they need to sell the idea to their subordinates and ensure everyone will be on board with the drastic decision of partnering with others.
The second lesson for businesses would to be embrace diversity. In the movie, Barnum did so by finding all these freaks and noticing their natural talents. This is a huge lesson for businesses because it allows for more opportunity for the company. If you continue to hire mainstream individuals with no sense of diversity based on age, race, background, etc., you may never realize some of the talent individuals can bring to a team that could further improve the company in very positive ways. This specific lesson could be seen as a transformational leadership, which is where the leader gains the ability to influence and motivate others to follow their visions while creating innovations and challenging assumptions. Keep in mind, throughout all this, the leader is still caring for these individuals. Barnum shows his leadership style to a T as he cares for each individual that is part of the circus and challenges them each day. Barnum seeked out people who were different and brought them all together to create a strong and welcoming environment. The third business lesson would be that failure can lead to success. P.T. Barnum had invested in the Clay Museum where he saw much potential, but once they had opened the museum up, the only 3 tickets sold were by his family. Barnum was ready to quit until his daughter suggested he needed something new and alive, and that's when he began to search for new acts and create something out of nothing. Barnum never gave up even when he wanted to, and by doing so, he was able to become very successful by creating the circus. The failure only showed him he had more to prove. Taking this lesson learned from Barnum in the film, businesses can apply it to the real world in the sense that they should not give up the second they run into failure, especially in cases like this, because as you can see, Barnum had a greater opportunity for success after he failed the first time. It shows businesses that it could just be a blessing in disguise that they failed because it can get them to think strategically of how they could one-up themselves and make a turnaround. This specific situation demonstrates a democratic leadership, because the leader is seeking support and ideas from those surrounding them, and this support helps drive the leader to come to a decision that is useful for the organization to get them back into business. Overall, The Greatest Showman is a very powerful movie that presents many strong leaders and demonstrates some key leadership styles. P.T. Barnum and Philip Carlyle are the 2 main leaders and express many leadership styles all throughout the movie. Both leaders show passion towards the show world and are strongly respected by the circus members, which help them lead the group successfully. However, it also shows how different leaders can be from one another. Not all are the same. In this presentation, we also discuss some business lessons, which are build strong connections and relationships, embrace diversity, and that failure can lead to success. These are all key things businesses should keep in mind in order to be successful. I believe that this film can give people hope and show that if you fail once, you should not give up. The Greatest Showman had received a 4-star rating.